Welcome to the DIY Audio Guy YouTube channel. On this channel, I tinker with car and home audio projects. And today we're going to take a look at this soundbar from AUDVOI. AUDVOI sent this out to me because they wanted you to look at it. And so I'm going to take it, unbox it, take it apart, show you what it's all about. Let's head over to the test bench and let's get to it. This thing has an interesting surprise, so you're going to want to see what that is. AUDVOI. AUDVOI. I have no idea how it's pronounced. If you work for one of these companies that's making product and shipping them from China, you gotta start calling me before you name it and ask me what a good name is. This is a 16-inch high definition soundbar. Wireless sound for any electronic. Is it 16 inches? Or is it 17.3 inches? It has an optical input, an auxiliary input, RCA stereo audio and a remote control, and audio cables are included. And that's a huge plus. Cables and wires and connectors can end up costing a ton of money, so it's always a good thing when a company throws those in. So let's crack her open and let's see what we got. All right. Inside the box, this box has all your various accessories. Let's crack this open and see what all's in it. You've got a Toslink cable. This is a fiber optic cable. Now the Toslink comes in really handy if you want to connect it to an older TV. A new TV is going to have an audio return channel on one of their HDMI ports. This allows you to send a signal from the TV. Let's say you're using a smart TV or you're using the TV's receiver for old-fashioned broadcast television. An ARC channel lets you send that signal into your home stereo receiver over the monitor output. But older televisions don't have an audio return channel, but they will have an optical output. You've got some keyholes here, have a sticky back, some 3M adhesive, so you can stick those. I don't know if you stick them to the wall or to the unit. Speaking of screws, you got a bag of screws, comes with 2 screws and 2 drywall anchors. There is a remote control, which is always handy. AAA batteries, not included. We'll have to get some batteries. Also in the box, you've got RCA to 3.5 millimeter. Does come with a power supply, the good old-fashioned wall wart. 20 volts at 1 amp DC. So that's going to tell us right now what kind of power we can get out of this thing. Watts equals volts times amps. So this thing can max output 20 watts. Some of that, of course, is going to get burned off as heat. Now, if we assume 75% efficiency, instead of 20 watts, you end up with 15 watts. That's 7.5 watts per channel. That's a more realistic number. There is an owner's manual for the SR19016. Look here, they're saying the power output is 30 watts by 2. We've already done the math and proven that can't possibly be right. Frequency response 60 hertz to 16 kilohertz. So you're going to lose the upper octave and the lower bass. So this thing's not going to have a lot of bass output. Says it consumes 80 watts of power. I don't know how it's going to do that since it can't draw 80 watts of power. Let's actually pull the thing out of the box and take a look at the item itself. Here we go. So here is the unit itself. And the first thing I want to point out is it's just not very big. As the manual states, the overall length is around 16 inches. We're coming up on a massive, just shy of 3 inches here. Not terribly deep either, just over 3 inches, 3¼ inches deep. So it's not a big unit, but it does feel solid for what it is. It's not heavy at all, but it doesn't feel flimsy or weak. On the bottom, you've got 2 rubber feet, so you can put it on whatever surface and it won't slide around much. On the back, you've got 2 keyhole slots. Right here, we have an HDMI connector, and I don't know how well you can see it, but right there above the connector, it says ARC, that's Audio Return Channel. Now, the manual doesn't make this part clear at all. From what I can tell, there's no output from the soundbar going to the TV through this HDMI. This is only an HDMI input. So if you're pulling this out of a TV that has that audio return channel, you're going to plug it in here. Otherwise, you're going to want to use the optical or the aux cable. And there is the DC input right there. So those are all your connections. Here's some inconsistency. They are calling it a 40-watt soundbar here on the back. Let's take a look at the other end. On this end, we've got some controls. There's a power button, a positive and a minus for volume, and a play pause button. Let's see if we can peek through the grill and see what's going on inside this thing. There's supposed to be 4 speakers total, a pair of mid-range drivers and a pair of tweeters, so it's a two-way system on each side. The description online says that all of those are round, but as you can see looking through the grill, we've got a single oval speaker here, and off to the side there's a small circle. I guess that's the tweeter, but we're going to pull the grill off later on so we'll get a good look at that, so make sure you keep watching for that. So it's plugged in and we get some LED lights. I can see some text behind the grill, and it changes as I cycle through the source button. It's a little hard to read. It's called AUDVOI on the Bluetooth.
Pairing.
Okay, now we've got the Bluetooth paired, so I've loaded up some music from the YouTube audio library. You'll probably recognize this track from some other YouTubers. It sounds good at low volume. Let's crank it up. I don't know how well you could actually hear that, but the bass response was really lacking, and that kind of makes sense. You saw earlier they only said it could get down to 60 hertz, so you shouldn't be surprised if this thing doesn't have a big bass response. At higher volumes, the sound was really harsh. I think this will be fine for near-field listening, like say at a computer desk, but in a home theater system, you're gonna want an immersive, room-filling sound, and this thing just doesn't have the power to do that. When listening near field, you had some pretty good stereo separation, but as you get further back, you completely lose that. So again, for near field listening on a computer desk or something, this is gonna work just fine. But if you're in a living room of any size at all, even something in a small apartment, you're gonna be back far enough that you're not gonna get any stereo separation. In order to demonstrate how good the stereo separation is up close, I've got 2 microphones. And I'm going to play the left, center, right track so you can hear for yourself how good this separation is. Throw on some headphones and you'll see what I'm talking about.
My voice should appear to come from a single point at the far left of your soundstage.
My voice should appear to come from a single point in the center of your soundstage. My location should be exact and clearly focused.
My voice should appear to come from a single point at the far right of your soundstage.
So now I'm playing some pink noise, and I've got this calibrated microphone from Dayton Audio, and you can see the audio spectrum here. Up at the top end, just as the specification said, it drops off at 16,000 hertz. And down at the bottom end, nothing going on past 60 hertz. In fact, you can see the drop off begins about an octave above that. Now it doesn't drop all the way to 0 just because of the background noise in the room. Let's pop the grill off and see what's going on behind the scenes. Now that we can see the speakers, we see that we have a little bit of a problem. This looks nothing like the pictures online. It looks nothing like the fancy animation that AUDVOI went through the trouble of making. That animation shows these exploded views of the speaker and the individual drivers. They went through a lot of trouble to make that, but then they didn't bother to actually put that in the speaker. I even emailed them after I took it apart to say, hey, you do realize that this speaker doesn't match your online description. And they assured me that it did. The marketing contact I was working with even claimed to have reached out to engineering, and engineering swears that it has 4 speakers and a frequency divider. In fact, everything about their product description is just a bunch of bogus hype. It's all worded to make you think you're getting some very exotic, very fancy, feature-rich soundbar. For example, the multiple sound modes and digital signal processing is nothing more than a couple of EQ presets for music and sports. Now, it's perfectly fine if you're looking for a cheap Bluetooth speaker, or if you're looking for a speaker to put on your desk next to your computer or your desk at work where you don't need a loud stereo. But if you're looking for an immersive experience for your home theater, this is a hard pass. This is not the item for you. And the fact that it's really an unremarkable soundbar would be forgivable if it weren't for the fact that the manufacturer was blatantly misrepresenting their product in their Amazon description. I even reached out to them and let them know, and then they kept telling me over and over again that I was wrong, totally gaslighting me, telling me that I wasn't seeing what I was seeing with my own eyes. I shared the email exchange with my patrons over on Patreon. These guys right here that help me out making videos, with special thanks to $25 patron Dylan. And if you want to see the right way to build home speakers, check out these videos right over here, and I'll see you on the next adventure.